I've played countless Korea RPGs, but some of the most unforgettable ones didn't come from giant studios. Today, I'm revealing 12 indie RPGs so good, you'll wonder why AAA games can't match them. When people talk about indie RPGs surpassing AAA quality, Shadows of Adam is one of those hidden gems that instantly proves the point. This game feels like someone dug up a lost cartridge from the golden 16-bit era and polished it for today's players. Its art style has that nostalgic Super Nintendo vibe, but with crisp details and animations that make everything pop on modern screens. The combat system isn't just a copy of old turn-based battles. It adds a clever twist with the AP mechanic, where every skill you use consumes ability points that can only be regained through attacking. This forces you to constantly think, do you unleash a powerful move now, or hold back and build up resources? The result is a battle system that stays snappy and exciting from start to finish, avoiding the slow grind that drags down many retro-style RPGs. The story doesn't try to be overly epic or bloated. Instead, it's sharp, funny, and self-aware, throwing in quirky dialogue that keeps things entertaining while still delivering emotional moments. And here's the best part, it respects your time. No endless filler quests or unnecessary padding, just a focused adventure that hits all the right notes. For indie developers, it's proof that passion and creativity can outshine even the biggest budgets. Shadows of Adam may not have the fame of a Final Fantasy, but it's every bit as charming, and in some ways, even better. Before the highly anticipated 100 Heroes, the creators gave us Rising, a smaller, overlooked prequel that's far better than many people expected. On the surface, it looks like a light side-scroller with some RPG elements, but it quickly reveals itself as a polished experience with its own identity. The hand-drawn visuals are colorful and inviting, giving it that classic JRPG charm while still feeling modern. But what really makes it stand out is the way it combines fast-paced combat with town building. Every quest and mission ties back to restoring the main village, making your progression feel meaningful beyond just leveling up characters. Combat flows smoothly, with tag team mechanics that let you swap between heroes in real time, chaining attacks into stylish combos. It's simple, but surprisingly addictive. You'll find yourself experimenting with different character pairs just to see how the synergy works out. Narratively, it sets the stage for the larger Eiyuden Chronicle world, but it also delivers enough warmth, humor, and heart to stand on its own. For players waiting on the big game, Rising serves as a perfect appetizer, a reminder that indie teams can craft something engaging, beautiful, and surprisingly deep without the massive AAA budget. It may not shout for attention, but Eiyuden Chronicle, Rising is proof that even the small steps in RPGs can leave a lasting impression. Sometimes the best RPG experiences come disguised as roguelites, and UnderMine is a perfect example. At first glance, it looks like a simple dungeon crawler. You pick up a pickaxe, dive into procedurally generated mines, and fight monsters. But quickly, you realize how much depth is hidden beneath its surface. Every run feels different thanks to the clever mix of random loot, power-ups, and secret rooms, making exploration addictive. The combat is straightforward but satisfying, balancing melee swings with ranged bombs that double as puzzle-solving tools. And like the best roguelites, death isn't the end, it's progress. Each time your character falls, you return stronger, investing your gold in upgrades, new abilities, and permanent boosts that completely change how future runs play out. What really elevates UnderMine is how it blends that roguelite loop with RPG progression. You don't just chase high scores, you chase stories, meeting quirky NPCs who join your hub and add more layers to the world. The pixel art is charming, the humor is sharp, and the constant sense of just one more run makes it dangerously addictive. For a game made by a small indie team, it rivals the polish and replayability of big-budget AAA titles. UnderMine proves you don't need a massive studio to create something endlessly fun, challenging, and rewarding.
Heroes fighting villains.
If you're looking for something truly different, Greedventory delivers an indie RPG unlike anything else. Instead of controlling characters with buttons, here you fight entirely with your mouse. Every slash, parry, and spell is done by dragging or clicking in real time. It feels strange at first, but once it clicks, the combat becomes tense and exciting, demanding precision and timing in ways most RPGs don't. What makes it stand out even more is its tone. This is not a serious epic with a world-ending threat. It's a chaotic, irreverent adventure filled with absurd humor, bizarre enemies, and unpredictable events. The story doesn't try to be grand, but it keeps you hooked with its eccentric cast and constant surprises. It's the kind of game where one moment you're fighting goblins, and the next you're facing something completely ridiculous, and somehow it still works. The art style is simple but expressive, mixing pixel aesthetics with sharp animations that make every encounter feel alive. And under all the humor and chaos, there's a clever layer of RPG progression with loot, upgrades, and skills that keep you experimenting with new approaches. It may not have the budget or the polish of a AAA release, but that's exactly why it feels so fresh. Greedventory proves that sometimes indie studios can take risks the big developers never would, and that's what makes it so memorable.
What was, what is, and what would be.
Cris Tales is one of those indie RPGs that feels like a love letter to the entire history of the genre, while still bringing its own unique ideas. Right from the first minute, the hand-drawn art style catches your eye. Everything looks like a living painting, with bold colors and elegant designs that give the world a fairy tale atmosphere. But the real magic lies in its time mechanic. With her powers, Cris can see the past, present, and future all at once on the same screen. During exploration, this allows you to witness how choices and actions immediately affect the world. In battle, it adds strategy and creativity. You can send an enemy into the past to weaken them, or push them into the future to exploit new vulnerabilities. This system makes even classic turn-based combat feel fresh and unpredictable. The story itself mixes hope and tragedy, with themes about destiny, sacrifice, and the consequences of every decision. And the cast of characters, from quirky allies to larger-than-life villains, keeps the journey engaging from start to finish. While it clearly draws inspiration from classics like Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy, Cris Tales manages to carve out its own identity by daring to experiment with time in ways that few RPGs have. It may not have the massive scale of a AAA blockbuster, but in terms of creativity and heart, it easily surpasses many of them. Tower of Time is one of those indie RPGs that instantly shows how far creativity can go when it's not bound by corporate formulas. At its core, it's a classic dungeon crawling RPG, but everything about it feels fresh and ambitious. The setting alone stands out, an inverted tower buried deep into the earth, where each floor is a self-contained chapter full of secrets, puzzles, and lore. Instead of being just another hack and slash, the game slows things down with a tactical combat system that mixes real-time movement with strategic pauses. This pause and plan mechanic means every battle feels like a puzzle, where positioning, timing, and ability combos matter more than button mashing. It's a system that rewards creativity and punishes laziness, giving the thrill of strategy in every encounter. But what really makes Tower of Time shine is its world building. The story slowly unravels mysteries about the tower itself, tying together themes of fate, sacrifice, and the consequences of power. The writing is mature and layered, with characters who feel conflicted and believable rather than just stereotypes. Visually, it's surprisingly polished for an indie game, with atmospheric environments that make each descent deeper into the tower feel heavier and more dangerous. Combine that with a moody soundtrack and you get a sense of immersion many so-called big-budget RPGs fail to deliver. It's proof that you don't need a massive studio to create a tactical RPG that feels both epic and deeply personal. Tower of Time may not wear the AAA label, but in design and storytelling, it outclasses plenty of games that do. Horizon's Gate is one of those indie RPGs that feels like it was built for players who crave freedom above all else. At first glance, it looks like a throwback with its pixel art visuals, but give it a few minutes and you'll see it's hiding an incredibly ambitious open-world experience. You command a ship, hire a crew, and set sail across vast oceans dotted with islands, trading posts, pirate hideouts, and mysterious ruins. It's part tactical RPG, part trading sim, and part naval combat adventure. a mix so unusual that it feels like 3 different genres stitched together seamlessly. On land, you're exploring dungeons and fighting turn-based battles with a flexible class system that lets you shape each character however you want. At sea, battles turn into strategic duels where you position your ship, fire broadsides, and outmaneuver enemies on the waves. And between those moments, there's the quiet satisfaction of running trade routes, upgrading your ship, and building your reputation across a living world. Every choice matters. Will you become a feared pirate, a respected merchant, or a wandering explorer uncovering lost secrets? It's the kind of game where you can sink dozens of hours without even touching the main quest, just getting lost in the possibilities. What really makes Horizon's Gate stand out is how much it delivers with such a small team, a sense of scale and freedom that even massive studios struggle to capture. It feels like a hidden classic waiting to be discovered by players who miss when RPGs gave you true freedom to write your own story. In a list about indies surpassing big-budget productions, this one earns its place by showing how much creativity thrives outside the spotlight. Death Trash is the kind of indie RPG that instantly grabs your attention with its art style. Gritty, pixelated, and drenched in atmosphere, it throws you into a strange, post-apocalyptic world filled with decaying machines, flesh monsters, and unsettling cults. The moment you start, you know this isn't a safe or comfortable game. It wants to shock you, surprise you, and make you laugh nervously. At its core, it's an action RPG, but one that blends real-time combat with dialogue choices, stealth mechanics, and player freedom. You can fight your way through mutants, sneak past dangers, or talk your way out of awkward encounters. But the real hook is the world building, grotesque yet oddly beautiful, mixing cosmic horror with dry humor. You'll meet bizarre characters, from a giant talking meat creature to nihilistic survivors just trying to get by. Despite its dark tone, it doesn't take itself too seriously, which makes the experience strangely addictive. It's one of those games where every screen feels like it hides some disturbing secret or weird joke waiting to be found. And while many big-budget RPGs try to overwhelm with polish and spectacle, Death Trash proves that raw creativity can be far more memorable. It doesn't hold your hand, it doesn't care about being mainstream, and that's exactly what makes it stand out. This is indie RPG design at its boldest, uncompromising, strange, and unforgettable. Enhanced Edition is the definition of a hidden gem in the indie RPG world. At first glance, it might look like another 16-bit inspired game, but once you step into its floating world, you realize it has a personality all its own. The game blends classic JRPG elements, turn-based combat, exploration, party building, with choices that carry real narrative weight. What makes RFL stand out is its world building. You explore a realm of islands suspended in the sky, filled with secrets, dungeons, and mysteries that constantly pull you forward. The writing is surprisingly sharp and heartfelt, with characters who feel alive and dialogue that mixes humor, warmth, and emotional depth. The Enhanced Edition not only polished visuals and controls, but also expanded mechanics, making it feel like a definitive version rather than just a re-release. Combat is traditional yet layered, offering enough strategy to keep battles engaging while never slowing down the pace. And the soundtrack, atmospheric, emotional, and perfectly tuned to each moment, helps sell the sense of wonder in this skybound adventure. Despite being built with RPG Maker roots, RFL proves that passion and storytelling can matter far more than massive budgets. It may not carry the label of a AAA production, but it surpasses many of them with its charm, creativity, and heart. It's the kind of game that reminds you why indie RPGs can be just as magical, or even more so, than the giants of the industry. Edge of Eternity is one of those indie RPGs that feels like it shouldn't even be possible for a small team. Developed by Midgar Studio, it combines a vast open-world, turn-based combat, and a sweeping fantasy story that rivals big-budget titles. The visuals are stunning, wide landscapes, glowing crystals, and massive creatures that give the world an epic scale. But what really makes it stand out is the hybrid combat system. It's tactical, grid-based, but with cinematic flair that feels dynamic and modern. The story leans heavily on themes of war, corruption, and survival, while still delivering emotional character moments. And the soundtrack? It features music from none other than Yasunori Mitsuda, the legendary composer behind Chrono Trigger and Xenogears. That alone makes the game feel like a spiritual successor to some of the greatest JRPGs of all time. Despite a few rough edges here and there, the sheer ambition and heart poured into this project is undeniable. It's proof that you don't need a massive studio to create a world that feels alive and worth exploring. Every city, every ruin, every battlefield tells a piece of the larger narrative, keeping you hooked from start to finish. For many players, Edge of Eternity is the moment they realized indie RPGs could stand toe-to-toe with AAA giants. And honestly, in terms of creativity and soul, it surpasses them. Astlibra Revision is the kind of hidden gem that makes you rethink what an indie RPG can be. On the surface, it looks like a side-scrolling action RPG with flashy combat, but the deeper you go, the more it transforms into a massive, emotional journey. The gameplay is smooth and satisfying, fast combos, powerful magic, and customization that lets you shape your own playstyle. But it's the story that really elevates the game, a dark, time-bending narrative about loss, destiny, and sacrifice, delivered with surprising depth and weight. Every chapter introduces new mechanics, environments, and challenges, keeping the experience fresh from beginning to end. The soundtrack is absolutely breathtaking, amplifying the emotional highs and lows at just the right moments. And visually, it blends classic JRPG aesthetics with modern polish, creating a style that feels nostalgic yet strikingly new. What makes Astlibra Revision special is how it keeps growing the further you play. It's not afraid to take risks, to shift tones, and to surprise you. This isn't just a game you play, it's a game you live through, one that lingers long after the credits roll. For many players, it feels like the culmination of everything they love about RPGs. Challenging combat, heartfelt storytelling, and unforgettable atmosphere. It might not have the budget of a AAA blockbuster, but in terms of creativity and soul, it leaves many of them behind. Closing the list with Astlibra Revision feels fitting because it shows just how far indie RPGs can go when developers pour everything into their vision. The Banner Saga Trilogy is the kind of indie RPG that feels like a playable epic poem. From the very first scene, you're pulled into a Nordic-inspired world painted like a living tapestry, every frame looking like it belongs in an art museum. This isn't just about style. The game blends narrative choices, tactical combat, and survival management in ways few RPGs ever dared to. Every decision matters, from how you guide your caravan through frozen wastelands to which words you choose when speaking to your allies. Sometimes the wrong choice doesn't just cost you resources, it costs you people, changing the course of the entire story. Combat is a deliberate, chess-like system, where positioning, initiative, and armor management decide victory. But it's the weight of your choices outside of battle that makes this trilogy unforgettable. You'll constantly ask yourself, do I protect my people at the risk of starving, or take the safer path and lose time against an unstoppable enemy? Characters live, die, or betray you based on what you do, and there's no going back, which makes every playthrough feel personal. And when you realize your story continues across all three games, the emotional impact only deepens. The soundtrack, composed by Wintory, elevates every moment with haunting horns and choirs that feel like they're echoing across frozen mountains. Few indie RPGs have ever managed to feel this grand in scope. The Banner Saga proves that an independent team, with vision and courage, can deliver a trilogy that rivals the scale and emotional punch of the biggest blockbusters. And that's it. 12 indie RPGs that prove you don't need a giant studio to make magic. Some are small, some ambitious, but every single one leaves a mark. If you've played any of these, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you've got another hidden gem I missed, share it too. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. It really helps me keep going. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep exploring new worlds.